Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salam ala sayyidil mursaleen. Wa ala alihi wa sahabati ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Subhanaka la fahma lana illa ma fahamtana innaka antal jawadul karim. Wa rabbi zidni ilma. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. والوالدات يرضعن أولادهن حولين كاملين لمن أراد أن يتم الرضاعة وللمولود له رزقهن وكسوتهن بالمعروف لا تكلف نفس إلا وسعها لا تضار والدة بولدها ولا مولود له بولده وعلى الوارث مثل ذلك فإن أرادا فصالا عن تراض منهما وتشاور فلا جناح عليهما وإن أردتم أن تسترضعوا أولادكم فلا جناح عليكم إذا سلمتم ما آتيتم بالمعروف واتقوا الله واعلموا أن الله بما تعملون بصير صدق الله مولانا العظيم. So continuing with the discourse concerning rida, or the suckling of the child. So we gave a basic translation of the ayahs that we've just read yesterday, and basically there's several injunctions that we have to be aware of. And number one is that as we mentioned yesterday, that the suckling of the child, obviously this is a right of the child. And so long as the woman is in the isma, or in the wedlock, and since the responsibility of the nafaqat, or the expenditure of the woman, is on the husband, and he's providing that, so the right of the child upon the mother is that she should actually give suckle the child, and that it's a wajib upon her. It's compulsory for her to do so. If, of course, she's unable to do so, then in that case, then a wet nurse is to be arranged, and of course that would be, the expense of that would be upon the husband. Now, in the case of the divorce, if the woman is in the waiting period, so similarly during the waiting period, in that period of time also expenditure is upon the husband, so he has to provide expenditure, and during that time also the mother is obliged to suckle the child. Now the period of suckling, most of the ulama of the opinion that 2 years is the suckling period, or the time of the feeding of the breast milk, and this can extend up to a period of 30 months. حمله وفصاله 30 شهرا. So Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala is his opinion is that period can extend up to 2.5 years. Most of the other ulama are of the opinion that extends up to 2 years. So what does that mean? That means that for this period, that is the right of the child. At the same time, the injunctions which take place as a result of the breast milk, those who take the breast milk, the injunctions of what we call the ahkam ar-radha. So the person who becomes the brother or sister or mother or father as a result of that milk, so there's what we call the relationship through the nasab, through the progeny, because you're a blood relationship, and there's also a relationship which comes through the conjunction in regards to the breast milk. So the two individuals who have taken the milk of the same woman, so they become brothers or perhaps sisters, if we say in radha. However, this period extends up to 2 years, according to most of the ulama, and up to a period of 2.5 years. So it's very important that we keep a track. If someone has, given the milk to a small child within that period, then the ahkam of that takes place, and that has to be understood and has to be dealt with appropriately. However, feeding the child after that period is also not permissible. At that point in time, that the child should have been weaned, and he should be taken onto, solid food and other forms of food. So that's one thing. Another thing is, we mentioned that the responsibilities of the payment of the mother, of course, will be on the husband. And if, suppose, after the period of iddat is finished, and in the case of talaq, now this woman, does she have to continue to give the milk to the child or not? So obviously the right of the child is to get milk, and it's also on the mother and on the father. After the divorce has taken place and the woman is now totally out of wedlock with this individual, and the iddat, or the waiting period, is over, so now we have to look to see what is the condition of this woman, because the expenditure upon that individual or that woman will be according to her position and according to the position of the husband financially. So if they're both well-to-do, then accordingly. Bil ma'ruf, as we mentioned many times, that bil ma'ruf means according to the urf, according to the standard, the times, the customs, the social standard and the economic standard of the people involved. So if both the husband and wife are of a similar economical standard, which is a bit higher, so obviously it would be a larger amount. If they're both poor, then accordingly. And suppose if one of them is rich and one of them is poor, then what? So some of the ulama are of the opinion that the position of the husband should be seen, because he's the one who's paying. And others say that perhaps we make a median between the two, and something in between. In any case, accordingly, and in this case, if there's a dispute, then the judge, in the Islamic court, he will look at the situation and judge accordingly. And at the same time, لا تضر والدة بولدها ولا مولود له بولده. But neither one of the two parties, which is the overall nature of Sharia, is that neither one should suffer detriment. So a woman is not to be suffer detriment because of the child, and neither the husband. So the woman should not refuse to give milk when she has the ability. At the same time, the man, if the woman cannot feed, then he shouldn't force her, and he should arrange for a wet nurse. Okay, suppose that the husband dies. Then what happens? On whose responsibility is it to look after this? Either provide for the mother who is acting as the wet nurse, or for the wet nurse who has been engaged. So وَعَلَى الْوَارِثِ مِثْلُ ذَلِكَ. So upon those who are the inheritors of that child, since they're the inheritors of that child, they're also responsible for his well-being. So they will have to bear those expenses, not only for the milk, but also for this child, as long as